Good morning, welcome. This session we are going to have a brief discussion on receptivity through aspiration. Increase your receptivity through aspiration, that is the topic of discussion for this great evening, great morning. So, aspiration and receptivity we are going to take from the mother. Finally, we'll try to conclude from Sri Aurobindo. That is a great topic, aspiration shows the image of a crown. So, mother quotes will quote few lines from the mother. Then actually we'll define what is aspiration, what is receptivity. Then mother is clarifying on simultaneously, combinedly, aspiration and receptivity. Finally, we'll go for conclusion from the master Sri Aurobindo, how he is going across the aspiration and receptivity. Anyway, mother quotes on aspiration. In the silence of the heart burns the steady fire of aspiration. Very interesting. Silence, steady fire. Both these things have been used in this single small sentence, small message. In the silence of the heart, silence not outward, silence of the heart, where psychic is really dwelling. So, in the silence of the heart burns the steady fire of aspiration. Aspiration, steady fire of aspiration that burns in the silence of the heart. So, you have to maintain silence, you have to observe silence, you have to accomplish silence, you have to find the silence in the heart center. That is a great thing. Again, mother goes forward little bit ahead. All is mute in the being. Very interesting. All is mute in the being, but in the bosom of the silence burns the lamp. In the bosom of the silence burns the lamp that can never be extinguished. This fire that burns in the bosom of silence that can never be extinguished. The fire of an ardent aspiration. What is that fire? That ordinary fire you are putting from coal, wood or something else. But actually this is ardent aspiration, that is the fire of ardent aspiration to know and to live integrally with the divine. That is what. In the very interesting, I will try to quote it again. That must be known, that must be understood in a very crystal clear way. In the mute of the being, all is mute in the being. That is, nothing speaks in the being, everything is mute. But in the bosom of silence, after muteness, there comes the silence. In the bosom of the silence burns the lamp that never can be extinguished, the fire of an ardent aspiration to know. Fire of an ardent aspiration, that is to know and live integrally with the divine. That was the great message given in 6th November 1954. Again, mother goes little bit forward and quotes, beyond words can't be expressed in words. Beyond words, above thoughts, beyond words, above thoughts, the flame of an intense aspiration. Initially, we have seen ardent aspiration, steady fire of aspiration. Here we are seeing intense aspiration must always burn steady and bright. Beyond words, above thoughts, the flame of an intense aspiration must always burn steady and bright. That must be born. Intense aspiration, the flame of intense aspiration must always burn steady and bright. Again, Mother goes little bit forward. Let your aspiration leap forward. Very interesting. It is not to be confined, it is not to be stagnant, it has not to be limited. So let your aspiration leap forward, pure and straight, towards the supreme consciousness which is all joy and all beatitude. Very interesting. Let your aspiration leap forward. It has to go, it has to move forward, leap forward, pure and straight. Where it will go? Towards the supreme consciousness. It has to leap forward, pure and straight, towards the supreme consciousness, which is all joy and all beatitude. Which is really all joy and all beatitude. That must be done, that must be taken care of. Again, mother quotes in a very interesting way. Let the son of aspiration, again, different type of wordings mother are using again and again. Let the son of aspiration dissolve the cloud of egoism. Two things are there on the both two sides, but opposite sides. Here one is the son of aspiration, there it's a cloud of egoism. This cloud of egoism must be dissolved through the son of aspiration. Anyway, later we'll go forward a little bit towards receptivity. What is this receptivity really? How it has been it has been defined by the mother. We'll see. Then we'll go. Mother has explained the combinedly both the things. We'll go forward. Receptivity is the capacity of admitting and retaining the divine workings. It is their divine working. The capacity to of admitting and retaining two things. Capacity of admitting, it must be admitted and retained. The divine workings. That capacity is known as receptivity. Again, another good message was messaged by the mother. That is a very interesting one. It is with the widening of the consciousness, not with the confinement, not with limitation, not with narrowness, but actually with the widening of the consciousness and the one-pointedness of the aspiration. The receptivity increases. Simultaneously, two things are needed. One is widening of consciousness. Second, one-pointedness of the aspiration. Widening of consciousness, that is a one very interesting, very fundamental requirement. Widening of consciousness and the simultaneously one pointedness of the aspiration, both increase the receptivity. Again mother goes forward. To be receptive is to feel the urge to give and the joy of giving the divine's work. All one has. Whatever you have, all one has, all one is, and all one does. The, everything must be given. And this joy to urge to give and the joy of giving to where divine's work. Receptive, it is a big message. It is a very meaningful message. It is most interesting message. To be receptive. How can I know that I am receptive? To be receptive is to feel the urge to give, and the joy of giving to the divine's work. One all has what? One all has. All one has, all one is, and all one does. Everything to be splendidly, joyfully, and being urged, it must be given to the divine's work. And again, receptivity, finally, the mother has quoted and explained. It is your receptivity that is lacking. It is your receptivity that is lacking and should be increased. That's what we have kept the caption, the topic of discussion. It has to be increased. How? The receptivity that is lacking, natural one, we lack with the receptivity and should be increased. How? For this, you must open oneself. One opens oneself only if one gives oneself. You have to open oneself. How to open? Opening means you have to only condition, only ways to give oneself. Surely you are trying more or less consciously to draw the forces and the divine love towards you. Give oneself. You have to open. Open means you have to give yourself. So for that, actually, you are trying more or less consciously to draw the forces and the divine love. Draw the forces and the divine love towards you. The method is bad. In that way, we are really trying, and that is bad. Give yourself without calculating, without expecting anything in return. You give what one has, what one is, what one does, everything. You give to the divine work without expecting anything in return, and then you will become more capable of receiving. That is the when you give yourself more and more, then your capacity of receiving will increase more and more. Simultaneously, we will find something done. Aspiration and receptivity, mother has a bright clarification. We will try to read a little bit. Aspiration in everyone, no matter who it is, has the same power. Who is having the aspiration, desire and aspiration both are different things. Many occasions we have discussed, and this aspiration is only done for the god, for the freedom, and for the light, for the immortality, all these things. If you have got your yearning, then it is only aspiration. Others for what you are doing, they are all desires. Here, mother course, aspiration in everyone, no matter who it is, does not matter of their position, status, or circumstance, everything, nothing. So has same power, but the effect of this aspiration is different. Aspiration is same, but actually effect is different. Aspiration is aspiration. You if you have aspiration in itself, it has a power. If you have the power aspiration, this aspiration is having a bright power, no doubt of it. Only this aspiration calls down an answer. When there is answer, it calls down. When there is an aspiration, it calls down an answer, and this answer, the effect which is the result of aspiration, depends upon each one, for it depends upon his receptivity. It depends only upon his receptivity, how much receptive he is. I know many people, other words of this kind, they say, because she is the mother. Millions, billions, trillions people, visibly or invisibly, outwardly or inwardly, in the subtle link or in a direct link, they are coming in contact. Mother course. Oh, but I aspire. But oh, I aspire all the time and still receive nothing. That is what they are complaining. I aspire everything every time, in every moment, in everything, but I receive nothing. It is impossible that they should receive nothing. Mother course. If there is aspiration, you must receive. If there is aspiration, it will call down some hell. It will call down an answer. But if somebody claims I keep aspiring but getting nothing, mother course, in 100% impossible. Receive nothing. Mother course, it is impossible that they should receive nothing in the sense that answer is sure to come. Mother course, the answer is sure to come. Not nobody can take it. Nothing can take it. No one can bar it. But it is they who don't receive. It comes. The answer is there. They don't know how to receive. They don't receive actually. The answer comes, but they are not receptive, so they receive nothing. When it's very interesting, I will quote it again. I will try to explain it again. When there is an aspiration, there is a call. So to receive the call, there must be receptive. Call is coming, but they are not receiving because they are not receptive. They don't have the power to receive. They don't know how to receive, so they can increase their receptivity. That is the problem. And when you have an aspiration, a very active aspiration, mother quotes again, and different types of aspiration we have discussed, and active aspiration, your aspiration is going to do work. Yeah, most of the time we wrongly confuse or falsely confuse that aspiration and desire are the same thing. So going to do, your aspiration is going to do work, do its work if it is active aspiration. It is going to call down an answer to which you aspire for. Here from the below, from the surface, you are aspiring for for something, and that answer is coming, no doubt of it. But thing is that sometimes you receive, sometimes you have received, sometimes you don't receive because of your you lack receptivity. But if later you begin to think something else, or are not attentive or receptive, you don't even notice that your aspiration is received and has received an answer. Your aspiration is there, it has got its answer, answer is being pulled down. But thing is that you are not attentive or receptive, you don't even notice the aspiration. So how can you go? You are simply calling, and you are when that server is working, you have left the ATM. So later, maybe server is having some slowness is there. Sometimes it happens after your departure, restless departure. What is happening? Your money is coming back, coming out, and at that time somebody else is coming and keeping the money or taking the money and going. That is what happening really. Yes. So that happens very frequently, not once or time, very frequently. So people tell, I aspired and I don't receive anything. I get no answer. This is what? Because of their ignorance, lack of receptivity, lack of actually understanding. They don't know, unawareness. Yes, you have an answer, but you are not aware of it. That's what I was telling. That answer is that, but you are unaware because you continue to be active in this way, like the mill turning all the time, like the mill turning in all the time, and all mechanical activities, you are not understanding anything really. That is what the greater problem you need. And the Sri Aurobindo, I will try to quote Sri Aurobindo only couple of messages. Must here in the courts, aspire intensely but without impatience. You have to, your duty is to aspire. And you must intensely aspire. But thing is that you must not have the impatience. Aspire intensely but without impatience. If you are not constant in aspiration, the nature will then sink back into the into the old lower ways. As you are aspiring, if it is not your aspiration is not constant, if you are not constant in aspiration, then nature will sink back into the into the old lower ways. All sincere aspiration has its effect, but thing is that aspiration it has its effect, but thing is that sincere aspiration must be there. So there is no need of words in aspiration. It can be expressed or unexpressed of words. There is no use of it. The intensity of aspiration brings the intensity of experience. How intense you are in your aspiration, proportionately you will have the intensity of experience. And by repeated intensity of experience, you find the change. You feel the change. That is a great thing. So you have to what you have to do, you have to aspire, not only aspire, you have to aspire intensely but without impatience. Most of the time, like that example was given, you are putting the your debit card, putting filling up the formats, the little bit maybe the server was a little bit slower, you lost your patience and you went back, then money came, somebody took out, so many problems was there, you went, you complained, who is there, that the camera is not working properly, who may be that the next person who came, he is in the doubt, in the corner of doubt, so many things. So you must have there and in all sincere aspiration at its effect. So you have to be aspire, and you have to be receptive. You have to increase your receptivity so that the real answer to your call must be received. Thank you. Vandana.